Stand up, Chuck. Let him see you.
Last year, 130,000 Chinese were studying in the United States. They're really good. We're going to try to keep some of them. I'm only joking.
Oh, God love you. What am I talking about?
It's a simple fact that when the United States and China are not at the table, the solution to the problem is less possible than when we are at the table.
I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal.
Competition is not bad. Competition that's healthy is good.
I tell you what, stand up for Chuck.
This is the reason why I've held the view for so many years and continue to hold the view that a rising China is a positive development. Your policy has been one which I fully understand, I'm not second guessing, of one child per family. So let me say it again. Thank you, Terry, and thank you, Dr. Pepper, and thank you, Chancellor, or Dr. Pepper.
Here's what we'll do, and it's straightforward and it's simple. It's the most non-complex message of any recent political campaign.
There are no big boondoggles. If you notice, for all the criticism of the Recovery Act, no one's come up and said they wasted $50 million here, $100 million there, and $90 million here. That dog never bit.
If we do everything right, we do it with absolute certainty. We stand up there and we make really tough decisions. There's still a 30% chance we're going to get it wrong. I don't blame her for crying. She is going to inherit it. She's going to pay for it. That's one smart baby.
I'm much better off than almost all Americans now. I get a good salary as United States Senate. I live in a beautiful house. It's my total investment that I have. So
one of the things I resent about these guys is they talk about us middle-class guys, and I don't live a middle-class life anymore. I live in a beautiful home. I have a great, they fly me around. You know, no, I'm not, you know what I mean?
I'm not going to change.
My mother believed and my father believed that if I wanted to be president of the United States, I could be vice president. My mother and father believed that if my brother or sister wanted to be a millionaire, they could be a millionaire. My mother and father dreamed as much as any rich guy dreams I could be vice president. It's a depression for millions and millions of Americans. It's a depression. When the economy was about to go over the cliff, I watched him make some of the toughest decisions any president has had to make since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He saved the nation's financial system. In doing so, he prevented a worldwide depression. It wasn't a popular decision. General Motors now leads the world again, and Chrysler is the fastest growing company in America. Bin Laden is dead, and America is more secure because of this man's decision.
Look, John's last-minute economic plan does nothing to tackle the #1 job facing the middle class. And it happens to be, as Barack says, a 3-letter word, jobs. J-O-B-S, jobs. I'm not going to change.
Mr. Chairman, how are you? This election year, the choice is clear. One man stands ready to deliver change we desperately need. A man I'm proud to call my friend. A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America. Barack America. Barack America.
Part of what a leader does is to instill confidence, is demonstrate that he or she knows what they're talking about and communicates to people. If you listen to me and follow what I'm suggesting, we can fix this.
Oh, God love you. What am I talking about?
When the stock market crashed, Franklin Roosevelt got on television and didn't just talk about the princes of greed. He said, look, here's what happened.
It's a different dynamic when it's a male-female thing, isn't it?
I don't know, is it? We're sitting here doing it, aren't we?
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook, man.
I just want to make the comment. I've worked with Joe Biden. I've seen his leadership. I have absolutely no doubt about what is in his heart and the commitment that he's made with respect to racial equality in this country. So I will provide some testimony, as they say in church, that Joe is on the right side of the issues and is fighting every day for a better America.
Nobody messes with Joe.
Thank you, pal.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Even call centers, which rushed overseas in the hundreds of thousands. How many times you get the call? I'd like to talk to you about your credit card. I'd like to talk to you. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
You don't know my state. My state was a slave state. My state is a border state. My state is the 8th largest black population in the country. My state is anything from a northeast liberal state.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Nobody messes with Joe.
Because if he's as smart as Barack is, he mustn't be from my neighborhood.
I may have phrased those things wrongly, but when I talked about the Indian population, what I was making the point was they're building families. They're coming by businesses, 7-Elevens and Dunkin' Donuts and small shops, just like those Italian immigrants used to do. And they're building families, just like those Italian immigrants used to do.
I'd like to talk to you.
Nobody messes with Joe.
They're going to put you all back in chains. The last time these guys unshackled the economy, to use their term, they put the middle class in shackles. And I'm told when I made that comment earlier today in Danville, Virginia, the Romney campaign put out a tweet. You know, tweets, put out a tweet. Went on the airways saying, Biden, he's outrageous in saying that. I think I said instead of unshackled, unchained, or anyway, outrageous to say that. That's what we've had. I'm using their own words. They're going to put you all back in chains. You know, tweets, I'd like to talk to you. I have more to say, but I'm saying too much already because these guys get me going a little bit. And you're going to have trouble translating all this because the poor lady, she's going to have tendinitis by the time she finishes. We want to take money and put it back in the pocket of middle-class people.
Anybody making over $250,000 is going to pay more.
You got it. It's time to be patriotic, Kate. Time to jump in. Time to be part of the deal. Time to help get America out of the rut.
Stand up, Chuck. Let him see you.
Back in 28, when it was built, they didn't realize that they effectively created a dam through half of the Everglades. Children should be educated to the degree to which they are educable. Children should be educated to the degree to which they are educable. Hillary Clinton is as qualified or more qualified than I am to be Vice President of the United States of America. Let's get that straight. She's a truly close personal friend. She is qualified to be President of the United States of America. She's easily qualified to be Vice President of the United States of America. And quite frankly, it might have been a better pick than me, but she's first rate.
Oh, God love you. What am I talking about?
And the other thing I heard a very, by the way, and I mean this sincerely, a very strong and a very good political speech from the Lieutenant Governor of Alaska, who I think is going to be very formidable. Governor Ryan. The Paul Ryan budget, by the way, Paul Ryan is a decent, honorable, smart guy. He genuinely is. So I don't want to hear Democrats talking about he's a bad guy. Their blueprint for the economy, which virtually every member of Congress voted for, Republican member, is called, you've heard it now, talk about the Ryan budget. He's a fine guy. He's a bright, handsome guy from the state of Wisconsin, and he's a fine guy. Congressman Paul Ryan, who's Governor Ryan, is a good, smart, decent man, and he is.
Are you disappointed with the tone of the campaign, the lipstick on the pig stuff, and some of the ads? And you guys haven't been completely guilt-free, making fun of John McCain's inability to use a computer.
I thought that was terrible.
Why'd you do it then?
I didn't know we did it, and if I didn't do it, we'd have never done it. And I don't think Barack, I mean, I just think that was...
Did Barack Obama approve that ad? He said he did, right?
Yeah, the answer is I don't think anything was intentional.
By the way, do you know the website?
I'm embarrassed. Do you know the website number? I should have it in front of me, and I don't. I'm actually embarrassed. Do you know the website number?
Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? You can tell I'm new.
If I blindfolded Americans and took them into some of the airports or ports in China and then took them to one in any one of your cities in the middle of the night just so they could see it, and then said, which one is an American, which one is in your city in America, and which one's in China, most Americans would say, well, that great one is in America. It's not.
If a member of your family came to you, no, Mr. Vice President, if a member of your family came to you and said, look, I want to go on a commercial airliner to Mexico and back within the next week, would you think it's a good idea?
I would tell members of my family, and I have, I wouldn't go anywhere in confined places now. It's not that it's going to Mexico. It's you're in a confined aircraft. When one person sneezes, it goes all the way through the aircraft. That's me. I would not be at this point, if they had another way of transportation, suggesting they ride the subway. So from my perspective, what it relates to is mitigation. If you're out in the middle of a field and someone sneezes, that's one thing. If you're in a closed aircraft, a closed container, a closed car, a closed classroom, it's a different thing. Tweets, Caesar?
Vice President Joe Biden is reminded that he's at Kopp's frozen custard shop, not an ice cream store in Greenfield. Moments later, he's in the back, scooping custard for cones and taking a few licks himself. A few minutes after the Kopp's manager's comment on lower our taxes, there's another exchange.
Come on, let's get real here.
I have another question regarding guns.
Good evening, America. My name is Jared Townsend from Clio, Michigan. To all the candidates, tell me your position on gun control, as myself and other Americans really want to know if our babies are safe. This is my baby, purchased under the 1994 gun ban. Please tell me your views.
Senator Biden, are you going to be able to keep his babies safe?
I'll tell you what, if that's his baby, he needs help. I think he just made an admission against self-interest. I don't know that he's mentally qualified to own that gun. No, I'm being serious. Look, this idea we go around talking about people who own. I'm the guy that originally wrote the assault weapons ban that became law, and then we got defeated. Then then Dianne Feinstein went to town on it and did a great job. Look, we should be working with law enforcement right now to make sure that we protect people against people who are not capable of knowing what to do with a gun because they're either mentally imbalanced and/or because they have a criminal record. And anyway,
we got one more question.
Hope he doesn't come looking for me.
Before we do.
My sister-in-law is an announcement. I'm her favorite brother-in-law.
You don't stand and wait.
Yeah, we gotta get a shot of her, man. I tell you. Every man should marry into a family with 5 sisters. One of them always loves you. One of them. Not the same one, but one of them.
Now is the time to heed the timeless advice from Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly and carry a big stick. End of quote. I promise you, the president has a big stick. I promise you.
You may recognize this famous quote, from each according to his abilities, to each according to his needs. That's from Karl Marx. How is Senator Obama not being a Marxist if he intends to spread the wealth around?
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
No.
Or is that a real question?
That's a question.
Joe, you want to administer the oath?
Am I doing this again?
For the
senior staff. All right.
A number of the cabinet members have already.
My memory is not as good as Justice Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts. Does anyone have the... No, I...
When Jill and I had the great honor of standing on that stage, looking across at one of the great justices, Justice Stewart, watching him as we looked across.
Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you would take this oath, you take this obligation freely?
My memory is not as good as Justice Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts.
John McCain.
As my mother would say, God love him, but he's a raging maniac.
Oh, God. I wish I had that much hair. These guys are incredible. I don't know what to say.
All right. We can leave. Had you watched it before?
I had watched it before, but every time I watch it, they are good, man. They are so good. And I turned it on, and I actually thought that the actress was actually Sarah Palin on Saturday Night Live. She is so good, both of them. I mean, anyway, it's funny.
What does Barack Obama's running mate say about Barack Obama?
You were asked, is he ready? You said, I think he can be ready, but right now I don't believe he is. The presidency is not something that lends itself to on-the-job training.
I think that I stand by the statement.
And what does he say about John McCain?
I would be honored to run with or against John McCain because I think the country would be better off.
Now, this is serious stuff I'm about to say, and it's disappointing.
It's not temporary. When that 911 call comes in and a woman's being raped, the cop shows up in time to prevent the rape. It's not temporary to that woman. It's not temporary to the guy whose store is being held up and there's a gun pointed at his head. If the cop shows up and he's not killed, that's not temporary. Or I wish they had some notion what it's like to be on the other side of a gun. Or a 200-pound man standing over you telling you to submit.
Biden went on to say police layoffs in places like Flint, Michigan have led to increased crime.
In many cities, the result has been, and it's not unique, murder rates are up, robberies are up, rapes are up.
Afterward, as the vice president was leaving, he was confronted by a reporter from the conservative news site Human Events.
Do you regret using a rape reference to describe Republican opposition to...
I didn't use it. No. What I said, let's get it straight, guys. Don't screw around with me. Let's get it straight.
You didn't use a rape reference?
No, listen to me.
I'm listening.
I said rape was up 3 times in Flint. They're the numbers. Go look at the numbers. Murder's up, rape is up, and burglary's up. That's exactly what I said.
And if the Republicans don't pass this bill, then rape will continue to rise.
Murder will continue to rise, rape will continue to rise, all crimes will continue to rise.
Do you think it's appropriate for the vice president to use language in such a...
We gotta go. I'm sorry, we gotta go.
Back office high-tech capabilities so we didn't drop women's calls. Last time I was down, I had them turn on one of the calls. And a young woman was on the phone saying, I'm calling, oh my God, I see him. Oh my God, he's coming. Oh, gee, I'm standing between Radio Shack and she was trying to figure out, and Gap, and I'm in the mall. Oh, God, please, oh God. That's the reality.
Right here in New Mexico right now, there are 1,400 Mexican sons and daughters, New Mexico sons and daughters, deployed in Afghanistan and Iraq. Folks, it is not a corny thing. It's real. We are one nation, under God, indivisible. We are all patriotic. We all love our country in every part of this nation. And I'm tired. I am tired of the implications about patriotism. Right here in New Mexico right now,
There are 1,400 Mexican sons and daughters, and that this is not a strong Republican Party. Not strong enough in this
economic... It's not a united Republican Party.
Okay. Is it strong enough of a Republican Party for its nominee to beat this president?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's strong enough to beat both of us.
Well, I say they're going to start to see unemployment grow this spring.
You mean employment?
It's going to take... employment grow, I'm sorry.
Whoa, your sister. Whoa. Slow up here, old buddy.
And Obama talks about spreading the wealth around and everyone does better that way. Is that not, being kind of a socialist? That's what, your accusers are saying here.
Oh, no. Absolutely
and wouldn't they
not.
just pass that on to the consumer?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, please explain that.
Absolutely not. Pure hokum. It's the same kind of malarkey that the Republicans have been putting out. Whoa, dead wrong.
Insiders claim as soon as Biden finished the interview, he had an aide call the Obama-Biden campaign national headquarters with instructions to deny any future interview requests by CBS 3.
I refuse to accept the notion that the United States of America is not going to lead the world economically throughout the 20th century.
Once again, General Motors, the largest automobile maker in the world. Folks, where is it written we cannot lead the world in the 20th century in making automobiles? I've not seen it written anywhere.
20th century.
20th century.
Well, the politics on Capitol Hill is being played in a way that I haven't seen, and I've served longer in the Senate, I'm almost embarrassed to admit, than all but 13 people in the history of the United States of America. God, I'm getting old. I don't feel that way. The president and I weren't back there blaming John Corzine then. You know what we were doing? We were on the phone calling John Corzine. Literally. I literally picked up the phone and called John Corzine and said, John, what do you think we should do? The reason why we called John is because we knew he knew about the economy, about world markets, about how we had to respond, unlike almost anyone we knew. And because he had been in the pit, he had been in the furnace, and we trusted his judgment. John Corzine helped craft the Republic. It's not coincidental that the things he did here turn out to be the exact same things the Recovery Act has. Because way back in the transition period, before we were sworn in, when Barack Obama and I were literally sitting at a desk in a high-rise in Chicago, beginning to plan how we would try to get this economy out of a ditch, literally, the first guy I called was John Corzine. Not a joke. Not a joke. Because first of all, he's the smartest guy that I know in terms of the economy and on finance. I really mean this.
Senator Biden, forgetting about the upcoming Iowa caucus for just a moment, which would you honestly say is more likely to contribute to the death of your average American? A terrorist strike or high fructose corn syrup and air that has too much coal in it?
Air that has too much coal in it, corn syrup next, then a terrorist attack. But that is not in any way to diminish the fact that a terrorist attack is real. It is not an existential threat to bringing down the country, but it does have the capacity still to kill thousands of people. But hundreds of thousands of people die and their lives are shortened because of coal plants, coal-fired plants, and because of corn syrup.
Hey, I didn't hear what you said.
Wind and solar are flourishing here in Ohio, so why are you supporting?
We're not supporting clean coal. Guess what? China's building every week, two dirty coal plants. And it's polluting the United States. It's causing people to die.
So will you support wind and solar
absolutely. Before anybody did. The first guy to introduce a global warming bill was me 22 years ago. The first guy to support solar energy was me 26 years ago. It came out of Delaware. But guess what? China's going to burn 300 years of bad coal unless we figure out how to clean their coal up, because it's going to ruin your lungs, and there's nothing we can do about it. No coal plants here in America. Build them if they're going to build them over there. Make them clean, because they're killing you. Say it.
Now people say, when I say that, people look at me and say, what are you talking about, Joe? You're telling me we got to go spend money to keep from going bankrupt? The answer is yes, I'm telling you.
Was the term shellacking correct as to what happened to you?
Well, yeah,
and the guys, and the ladies.
Look, we lost the House as big as we had won it, bigger than we'd won it. As I was saying briefly coming in, if you take a look at where the unemployment rates were the highest across the country in the districts, you just tack on a R as opposed to a D in most of those districts. It's awful hard to win elections when there's 9.5 unemployment, 9.6, 9.7% unemployment. You're going to see for the next 2 years that all we're about is American competitiveness, American, made in America, and American jobs. The buck stops with us, actually stops with the president. He's the guy that makes the final decision, God love him.
The buck stops with me. For ultimately, the buck stops with me.
You know, Harry Truman said the buck stops with you.
Good evening. As we speak, our nation faces a multitude of challenges.
The buck stops with us.
You know, Harry Truman said the buck stops with you.
But we've learned from where we are, and we're determined to take advantage of those lessons and not have the perception clearly focused.
Hello, folks. My name's Joe Biden. I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania. This is my wife, Jill, or actually I'm her husband. And I'll introduce the next two people in their order of importance. The first, the most important part, Michelle Obama. I tell you, man, I always liked Barack, but I love her. And a guy you don't know much about. He doesn't draw very big crowds or anything like that. A guy from Illinois named Barack Obama. Out there and make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that with you, and I mean this, with you, we can win North Carolina again. And if we do, we win the election if we win you.
But when we took office, let me remind you, there was virtually no international pressure on Iran. We were the problem. We were diplomatically isolated in the world, in the region, in Europe. So what did we do? Our administration administered some very tough medicine. Everybody took a hit, including the auto workers. My state of Delaware, which had the highest percentage, one of the highest percentages of auto workers of any state in the nation other than Michigan, we lost it all. Two biggest plants in the nation, in our state. General Motors and Chrysler have been there for an average of 45 years each. At one time, over 10,000 workers. Gone. It was tough medicine. In the president's sense of a distressed company, he says everybody's in on the deal. GM and Chrysler had to make some tough decisions. They shed some dealerships. They closed plants, 2 in my own state. Auto workers lost their jobs, a heck of a lot of them. Bondholders, the so-called big guys, they lost money too. But everybody was in on the deal.
Nobody is answering any questions. And then this morning, Gretchen, I'd
like to get a hold of the car czar, too.
Oh.
Never did I think personally that I would need to get a hold of him, but now I do. Because my parents have owned a General Motors dealership in Anoka, Minnesota for 90 years, and they were terminated last week, and they would like to know why. They would like to know why from the car czar.
No, but nobody's telling you. Did you get like 13 pages or something of notice? Did it have any answer?
It said that you will no longer be a part of the new General Motors. Apparently there was criteria. But let me tell you this, Glenn. They haven't lost money. They are a profitable operation. Their objective they met at 103%. You can't go higher than that. And yet they are being terminated. There are 80 employees who will not have jobs anymore. My parents lay awake at night worrying about those employees.
So what did we do? Our administration administered some very tough medicine.
Why is the economy getting worse?
The economy is getting worse for a number of reasons. Let me be precise. It's not that it's getting worse. It's not getting better at the rate it should get better. Now, it's not happening as fast as any of us would like, and certainly not fast enough for the millions of the folks who are still out of work. But there isn't any doubt we're moving in the right direction. It's not that it's getting worse. It's not getting better at the rate it should get better.
Vice President Joe Biden came to Overland Park to showcase the project.
And we're putting more money into roads, bridges, and highways than any time since President Eisenhower announced the interstate highway system. And we're doing this to save jobs today.
Shovel-ready, regionally important, meets all of the criteria for the Stimulus Act project.
Of the thousands of highway projects we've already let out to bid and the money's been cut to the states, we are roughly 15 to 20% under budget and ahead of time in starting, and some that are already been completed.
Shovel-ready was not as shovel-ready as we expected.
Get out of the way. There's too much at stake for America's national security. And don't tell me about Christmas. I understand Christmas. I have been a senator for a long time. I've been there many years where we go right up to Christmas. There's 10 days between now and Christmas. I hope I don't get in the way of your Christmas shopping, but this is the nation's business. This is a national security's at stake. Act. And don't tell me about Christmas.
In a school classroom, it was front page news. When Biden makes a comment like that,
unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
What's the reaction?
There is a glaring double standard. There's no question about it. And this went on actually the last time around between him and Sarah Palin. Joe Biden has been doing this stuff since day one, and it's been ignored. I just think that idea that we just tolerate this because it's just Joe is not okay. You know, he should be held to the same standard as everybody else.
There are reports that his team was trying to sort of sanitize the press pool reports coming out of the Virginia campaign appearance. That is just not done, but nobody seems to be screaming about it.
First of all, I think he is overrated. I would never go as far as to say, question his mental acuity, but I do think he is overrated. He's been presented as this sort of foreign policy genius just because he's been in the Senate since he was 30. I think part of the reason that Biden gets such a pass, and it's one of the problems in Washington, is that he has been schmoozing with these reporters and editors for the last 30 years. He has them, everyone loves to go to his parties. And I think that people cut him slack because of that.
And you in the audience didn't see it, but every single head at this table was nodding in agreement when Kirsten made that remark. Is that really all it takes to schmooze the press?
Absolutely. The worst thing you can do is
buy him
ignore
bagels.
the media.
Hey, Senator. Oh, you famous coffee? I got it. Thanks very much, Senator.
What do you got going on today?
Bagels? Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Wait a minute. It's very presidential of you. Wait a minute.
Oh, look at this, a little milk for the coffee. Wow, thank you so much.
Well, we'll tell Senator Biden that you're helping us out. Senator Obama.
Here you go. No phone conversation this morning, last night, anything?
Good talking to you guys.
We'll be here all week, Senator. Thank you.
Senator, anything to report? Successful dump. Successful dump. Successful dump. My mother said, and by the way, it was wonderful for children, by the way, having your grandpop live with you, having your great aunt, your uncle, for real. But those walls were awful thin. I wonder how the hell my parents did it, but that's a different story.
The fact of the matter is, what Hillary points out, there's neglect on the part of the medical and the white community focusing on educating the minority community out there. I spent last summer going through the black sections of my town, holding rallies in parks, trying to get black men to understand it's not unmanly to wear a condom, getting women to understand they can say no, getting people in the position where testing matters. I got tested for AIDS. I know Barack got tested for AIDS. There's no shame in being tested for AIDS. It's an important thing because the fact of the matter is in the community's engaged in denial. They're engaged in denial. No one wants to talk about it in the community, and we do not have enough leaders in the community and outside the community demanding we face the reality, confront the men in the community, as well as the women, letting them know there are alternatives.
Thank you.
Travis?
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
Governor Romney's called the President of the United States out of touch, that's a quote, out of touch, for encouraging young people to try to get manufacturing jobs. Out of touch?
Romney? I don't want Harry and Louise eating me alive. Remember Harry and Louise?
All too well, Senator. Thank you.
You were out with Vice President Biden day after the chains.
Yes.
You made a couple of fascinating observations, but the biggest one has to do with sort of this ridiculous management of him that his aides do to keep him away from the media. Explain.
I think part of the reason that there's frustration among a lot of our colleagues about this campaign is that really every campaign now, the leash is pulled tighter and tighter on the press corps, and the restrictions and the management only increases.
They edited the pool report. So is that right? They edited the print pool report.
So a few things on the Biden front. Hustling the press away from some of the events, that happens occasionally. Eavesdropping on reporter conversations with voters at events, it's a bit more rare. What I think is unheard of, though, Chuck, is when we as reporters go to off the records or off the schedule stops that Biden makes and compose a summary, we call them pool reports, for the rest of our colleagues.
Because we all can't get in there because of security reasons. It's an agreement we make.
It's a product of the press and for the press, right.
Lived in Long Island for 10 years or so. God rest her soul. And although your mom's still alive as your dad passed. God bless her soul. I got to get this straight.
And I also am told that Chuck Graham, state senator, is here. Chuck, stand up. Chuck, let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck. Thank you, pal. You can tell I'm new. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you.
He is going to be the running mate for Barack Obama. What do we know about Joe Biden? Well, he's a veteran senator. He'll fill in those gaps of perhaps lack of experience that Barack Obama has. He's chairman of the influential Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He's also known to be a bit of a windbag, to be honest, somebody who speaks an awful lot. He was famous in the 80s when he campaigned for the presidency then for stealing quotes, or actually whole bits of speeches from Neil Kinnock. But he is somebody who appeals to the Democratic Party, who will perhaps energize that base, and as I say, fill in the lacking of experience that Barack Obama had.
I don't want Harry and Louise eating me alive. Remember Harry and Louise?
All too well, Senator. Thank you.
And the irony is Rudy Giuliani, probably the most underqualified man since George Bush to seek the presidency, is here talking about any of the people here. Rudy Giuliani. I mean, think about it. Rudy Giuliani, there's only three things he mentioned in a sentence, a noun and a verb and 9/11. I mean, there's nothing else. There's nothing else. And I mean it sincerely. Look, Rudy, I've known Rudy for a long time. My reference was Rudy was saying that Clinton and Obama weren't qualified in foreign policy. And here's a man who several months ago said in a public statement reported in the New York Times, I don't know who's further ahead on nuclear weapons, Iran or Korea.
Joe's a laugh line on Jay Leno. He's not a vice president. I mean, it's a joke. You never know what he's going to say. And I really do believe, and don't get offended, because Republicans believe this. We all believe this. We believe we're treated more unfairly by the media than Democrats. I truly believe if that were a Republican, if Sarah Palin made that level of mistakes, Dick Cheney, he'd be plastered all over the media. The New York Times would go nuts. They'd be raising questions about, is he smart enough? What's going on? How does a guy make so many mistakes? Is he fit to be president? That's really why I said it, because I wanted to even up the score. If a Republican vice president had said that, and in the space of 24 hours had also gotten wrong the state that he was in.
And I mean this. With you, we can win North Carolina.
And today, the century that he's in.
20th century.
The 20th century.
You would be raising all kinds of questions about this man's fitness for office. This man makes one stupid remark after another. Today he said that he and Barack Obama are going to lead us in the 20th century. Well, maybe that was a Freudian slip, because they want to take us back to the 20th century. This vice president has made more dumb, stupid, idiotic comments than anyone. He's an embarrassment. I have to believe in the White House, whatever they say. They've got to be in constant dread
what is Joe Biden going to say today that's going to torpedo our campaign? Somebody should be questioning Joe Biden's stability.
All I have to do is say her name, Sarah Palin.
I like her.
Wanted your job.
Yeah, but you know, everybody
You
keeps
like her?
I do. I like her. She's an engaging person. She has a great personality. I don't agree with what she says, and I think some of the things she says are not. Well, I think. Well, you know, it's sort of like some of the comments made are just so far sort of out there. I just don't know where they come from.
I say it ain't so, Joe.
Stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck.
Dr. Pepper. It's the most non-complex message of any recent political campaign.
There's still a 30% chance we're going to get it wrong.
That's one smart baby. And I don't live a middle-class life anymore. I'm not going to change.
I could be vice president.
It's a depression for millions and millions of Americans.
General Motors now leads the world again.
I'm much better off than almost all Americans now.
Bin Laden is dead, and America is more secure because of this man's decision.
As Barack says, a three-letter word, jobs, J-O-B-S.
Barack America.
Part of what a leader does is to instill confidence, is demonstrate that he or she knows what they're talking about.
Oh, God love you. What am I talking about?
Mainstream African American, who is articulate and bright and clean.
Thank you, pal.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent.
I'd like to talk to you.
They're going to put you all back in chains. Because if he's as smart as Barack is, he mustn't be from my neighborhood. Just like those Italian immigrants used to do.
You know, tweets he's at.
She's going to have tendinitis by the time she finishes. Stand up, Chuck. Let him see you.
For the obligators. Children should be educated to the degree to which they are educable.
Hillary Clinton is as qualified or more qualified than I am. It might have been a better pick than me. Governor Ryan.
I thought that was terrible.
Why'd you do it then?
It's not.
Do you know the website number?
Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? You can tell I'm new.
If you're out in the middle of a field and someone sneezes, that's one thing. If you're in a closed aircraft, a closed container, a closed car, a closed classroom, it's a different thing.
Come on, let's get real here. I think he just made an admission against self-interest. I don't know that he's mentally qualified to own that gun. Hope he doesn't come looking for me.
Every man should marry into a family with 5 sisters. One of them always loves you.
I promise you, the president has a big stick.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
No.
Or is that a real question?
That's a question.
My memory is not as good as Justice Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts.
John McCain. Now, this is serious stuff I'm about to say, and it's disappointing.
Then rape will continue to rise.
Murder will continue to rise. Rape will continue to rise. All crimes will continue to rise.
Do you think it's appropriate for the vice president to use language in such
We gotta go. I'm sorry, we gotta go.
Right here in New Mexico right now, there are 1,400 Mexican sons and daughters. We are all patriotic. We all love our country.
Well, I say they're going to start to see unemployment grow.
Whoa. Slow up here, old buddy. Pure hokum. It's the same kind of malarkey that the Republicans have been putting out. Whoa, dead wrong. 20th century.
20th century and no coal plants here in America. God, I'm getting old. I don't feel that way.
I don't want Harry and Louise eating me alive. Remember Harry and Louise?
All too well, Senator. Thank you.
It says that 10 years from now, if you're a 65-year-old who's eligible for Medicare, you should have to pay nearly $6,400 more than you would today. It says instead of guaranteed health care, you will get a voucher. And if that voucher isn't worth enough to buy the insurance that's available in the open marketplace, well, tough luck. You're on your own.
The Villages, America's friendliest hometown. The Villages, the
America's friendliest hometown, the Villages.
Okay, Senator Biden, thank you very much.